I have a fun seasonal recipe demonstration for you, but before I get into that, I promised I would give a little bit longer introduction of myself and how I got here to NUNM and some of the hats that I wear in my role. So I am the nutrition department coordinator as well as adjunct faculty. And I'm also an alumni of the Master of Science in Nutrition program. I graduated in 2020, and I got to have the very unique experience of both the in-person program and the online program, because my time in the program was equally divided by the COVID-19 pandemic. So I am local to the area, and I was able to experience my first 2 terms in the program fully in person, seeing the campus culture, and getting to enjoy this teaching kitchen that I'm in today. And then I also got to experience the program as a fully online student to complete my program. So I've seen both sides of things. In my role as nutrition department coordinator, I also provide faculty support as a graduate assistant. So you may see me popping into classes, doing some grading or facilitation of discussion forums, or just providing other faculty support to the folks in our nutrition program. I also support our professional graduate assistant. We do have a part-time graduate assistant who also provides grading and assessment support. So I've seen many of our courses multiple times and have seen different iterations as they go through, both online and in person, term to term. In addition to faculty support, I manage this teaching kitchen. So you're seeing just a little glimpse of it right now, but I support the faculty, including myself, who teach classes here in the teaching kitchen, whether that's purchasing groceries and supplies week to week, or coordinating maintenance, or helping to host events here in the kitchen. I coordinate this space. I also coordinate the capstone experience. So you heard Dr. Queen bring me in to answer some capstone questions. I coordinate our capstone internship program, and as a part of that responsibility, I teach our capstone preparation course as well as the capstone internship courses. I am the faculty mentor for those. And finally, I also support our Food is Medicine Institute. So here at NUNM, we have the Food is Medicine Institute, which offers community education, community nutrition classes, as well as continuing education events like our annual Food is Medicine Symposium. And I am a certified FAME or Food is Medicine Everyday educator. So I teach community nutrition classes here in the teaching kitchen. We have a fee-for-service model in which any community member can register for our courses and come take them. Food is Medicine Every Day is a 3-month series of classes where folks come in, and for 90 minutes each week, we spend time together cooking and actually practicing hands-on culinary skills that we then talk about in a weekly nutrition lesson as well. We're really focused on emphasizing the use of whole foods and incorporating those into your day-to-day life and dietary patterns. And then I also teach that community nutrition series to other groups out in the community. For example, my most recent collaboration this fall has been with a group from the Multnomah County Health Department, which has been a very exciting partnership. In addition to my coordinator role, I have also teased, as I said, I teach several courses in the nutrition program, including those capstone courses. I also train our students who are interested or who are in the culinary track to become Food is Medicine Everyday educators, which is one of my favorite courses to teach because it is so practical. It is one of the most practical courses I think you can take, because when you choose to become a Food is Medicine Everyday educator, you are going to leave that course equipped with a 3-month curriculum that you can then go implement in your community. So becoming a FAME educator grants you access and rights to be able to use this curriculum that we have developed and that we support to go use that in your own community. I also teach the Cultural Humility and Food Justice course. Like Dr. Queen, food access is a very high interest area of mine and something that I came into the program very interested in. And finally, I'm also very excited to be teaching one of the classes that has been added to the culinary track, and that's recipe and menu development. My passion for nutrition began with cooking. I absolutely love to be in the kitchen, and I have for as long as I can remember. I was very fortunate to grow up with a supportive kitchen environment. My grandma facilitated anything that I wanted to do or try in the kitchen. From the time that I could be lashed into a high chair with a dish towel, I was next to her side, and I got to see the opportunity to cook so many different things and also learn some really valuable practices that informed my philosophy around food and nutrition, like gardening and canning and preserving. And all of those things contributed to what ultimately led me to making my decision to come to NUNM. So I'm here in my favorite place to be. I love to share the teaching kitchen with everybody, and I'm really happy to be able to share this seasonal recipe that I've created with all of you. So we're going to end on a sweet note with a little bit of a pumpkin dessert. One of the most popular recipes that gets used here in the teaching kitchen is a chocolate avocado mousse, which if you have never made a chocolate avocado mousse, you cannot tell, you have no idea that it's avocado providing that rich, creamy, luxurious base. It seems like any sort of decadent chocolate dessert you might enjoy. That's always a fun one to share. It's used in at least one, maybe two of our classes, but I'm putting a little bit of a seasonal twist on it. And instead of all avocado for the base, I'm actually going to be using some pumpkin puree. And for today, this is just canned pumpkin puree. If I wanted to be ambitious and roast my own pumpkin and mash it and puree it, great. But today, canned pumpkin is just as easy and convenient for me as anything else. I also want to give you just a taste of some of the classes that do happen here in the teaching kitchen. If you are able to take the program in person, we really pride ourselves on our kitchen first approach to our nutrition fundamentals, to our foundations. So students in the nutrition program, whether it's in person or online, everyone is taking courses like culinary skills so that everyone has those foundational skills to be able to execute recipes in the kitchen. You're also taking things like healing foods, where you're practicing using the foods that you're learning about in lecture. Same with medical nutrition therapy. You'll take an applied medical nutrition therapy course as well, where you're developing recipes, using recipes that you would be practicing or recommending to clients with varying chronic conditions or differing health goals. There's also electives in here like therapeutic diets that Dr. Erlandson mentioned briefly. There's courses like cooking with medicinal herbs, detoxification and cleanses, and a whole host of other things. If you are doing the online program, you're still taking those kitchen-based courses, but you're doing it in your own home. So you would be cooking and using tools that are available to you and becoming more comfortable with your own kitchen instead of being here in person. But just wanted to give you that little taste of what actually happens here in the kitchen. So this recipe is something that I developed, part of my experience in the program. For my capstone, Because I chose not to take a clinical pathway or a clinical focus, my passion really is the culinary nutrition side of things. For my capstone experience, I did a directed study. I created my own project, and through the directed study class, had faculty mentorship to execute and implement that vision. And what I did was I created a food blog that I had been dreaming about for many years. My friends, my colleagues, my family had been telling me, we need a place to go to get these recipes that you make for us. We need a place that you can document everything that you're doing in the kitchen. And so I dreamed about it for a long time, but being in the program and going through that capstone experience, also during the pandemic when many things were happening online, finally gave myself the permission to create and launch my food blog, which I'll share with you a link to this recipe after I make it. So my food blog is a place where I document what I am doing and the fun discoveries that I'm making in my own kitchen, the fun new ingredients or flavor combinations or pairings or just simple dinners or fun desserts that I am making and sharing with my friends and family. So this pumpkin chocolate pudding is one of those things. So I'm going to start by adding all of our ingredients to the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, a high-speed blender, or even a hand mixer, an electric hand mixer, will work to incorporate or blend these ingredients. So I'm going to start by putting my pumpkin puree. I have 1 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree. I got my spatula here. Not pumpkin pie filling. Always make sure when you are buying canned pumpkin that you keep an eye out and don't buy the pumpkin pie filling, which is sweetened and usually already pre-spiced for you. We just want pumpkin puree. So again, 1 1/4 cup. That's almost the whole can. It leaves you just a little bit in the can for maybe adding to your oatmeal in the morning or stirring into some yogurt or a smoothie. There's lots of things you can do with pumpkin, especially right now when it's in season. To that, I'm going to add my 1 large, very ripe avocado. And of course, the gamble is always just how ripe is it going to be. It's pretty soft, so my hope is that it still looks okay. But even if it doesn't, oh, it's a good avocado day. It's a really good avocado day. Even if it's a little bit brown, a little bit overripe, it's not going to matter. It's going to get all covered up with chocolate. So it won't matter what color it is. I'm going to add that to my food processor. Whole thing. You want it to be nice and ripe, very soft, so that it fully incorporates and doesn't leave any little bits of kind of underripe or firm avocado. All of that out of there. The next thing I'm going to add is 2 tablespoons of coconut cream. I apologize for the glare. I know that's hard to see, but I've got 2 tablespoons of coconut cream in here. Coconut cream, if you have not either used it or tried to make it, there's a couple ways you can go about that. You can buy canned coconut cream. Sometimes it's in with the coconut milk in that aisle. Maybe you find that in an Asian foods aisle. Maybe it's in a canned goods area. Sometimes it's also hiding in the mixers aisle with other mixers for beverages. You can either buy that straight can of coconut cream or coconut milk. Get the full fat kind, not the light kind, because you want the fat, you want the cream. If you're buying or using coconut milk, put your can in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours to firm it up, because then that coconut cream rises to the top, it separates from the water, and you get just the firm coconut cream, which is going to help give us a little bit of extra fat, extra aeration in this fluffy chocolate pudding. Then with the rest of your can of coconut milk, what I have done with my coconut cream, I created a just lightly sweetened coconut whipped cream to put on top of our pudding after this. So I did not waste the rest of that can. I definitely put it to good use as a topping for our pudding. You could also add it to smoothies or cook with it or do something else with it. To my ingredients, I'm going to add 1/3 cup plus 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. That is going to be our only sweetener that we're adding, because we've got other naturally sweet ingredients like the pumpkin, and the coconut definitely lends some sweetness. I'm going to add 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder or cacao powder. I have cacao here today. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to add my own kind of blend of pumpkin pie inspired spices. I've got a little pinch of salt in here. I've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. So definitely those fall pumpkin spice vibes. Going to put my lid on my food processor. And while I blend this, so I don't blast you all out with that noise, I am going to mute my mic for just a minute or so. While I blend this, I'm going to stop it probably once, maybe twice, to scrape down the sides so that everything gets fully incorporated. And we probably want this to run for a good 60 seconds so that it can really get smooth, creamy, fully incorporated. It will become a homogeneous, chocolatey color. So I'm going to mute myself for about a minute or so while this runs. While we're doing that, feel free to pop questions in the chat that we can then talk about as we come back and start to serve our dessert. Okay, again, I know it's hard to see, but what we've got is a super rich, very creamy, beautifully colored chocolate pudding. And I would say this is generally 4 to 6 servings, depending on how hungry you are, if you're serving this with anything else. I'm probably going to try to make 6 just in case the admissions team comes down here later today and comes and finds me. And what I like to do is just plate it up in a small bowl, parfait glass. I've just got a cute regular small drinking glass today. I'm going to plop a little bit in there. And I'm also gonna grab that sweetened coconut whipped cream that I made out of the refrigerator. Just 1 second. For the coconut whipped cream, all I did was use the rest of my can of coconut cream. I added just a tiny bit of maple syrup, a little bit of vanilla, a little pinch of salt to enhance that sweetness. And then I used a stand mixer, because that's what I had today, to get it to about as stiff peak as it can get. Coconut whip or coconut milk doesn't ever get quite as thick or stiff as a dairy-based heavy whipped cream, but it's close enough. It will do the trick. Just gonna put a little dollop on top. And then before we got started, I also toasted off some shredded coconut and some pumpkin seeds, because even though this is creamy, luxurious, delicious, I also like a little texture. I like a little bit of crunch. So I'm gonna sprinkle some of that over the top. And there you go. That's your pumpkin chocolate pudding. I think this is a fun, non-traditional dessert for the holidays. For example, many people will be celebrating Thanksgiving with their families next week. This could be a fun new addition to the dessert table. This might also be fun poured into a pie shell. So maybe a pre-baked pie crust. This is your creamy chocolate pudding filling, and then coconut whip over the top. Could be a fun dessert option as well. So that's what I have to share with you. I know it's only 11:30 and we didn't use our full hour together, but I am happy to stay on now and answer questions about culinary classes, the culinary track, about my experience at NUNM, both as a student and staff and faculty. Anything that I mentioned in my introduction, like the Food is Medicine Institute or Food is Medicine Everyday classes, happy to be here and be a resource for you.